Our tale opens in a desert of sand, where Prince Arnold is preparing to single-handedly bring down an enormous Minotaur. But right at that instant, his butler, Sebas, interrupts him with grave news, informing him that General Dominic has passed away. Arnold immediately wants to know whether the general was assassinated, but Sebas confesses that the circumstances surrounding his death remain unclear. Sebas further mentions that he doubts anyone will even bother calling for an investigation into who might be responsible for the killing. Setting that matter aside for the moment, Sebas notices that Arnold is holding his adventurer's mask in his hand and asks why he's carrying it around when there isn't a single other soul nearby to see him. Arnold explains that it's purely a precaution, since he understands exactly how much chaos would erupt if people ever found out that Prince Arnold has secretly been posing as an adventurer this whole time. Sebas urges Arnold to give up playing adventurer, warning that it's an extremely risky pastime for someone of his standing. Arnold, however, simply reminds Sebas that he's already known throughout the kingdom as the Dull-Witted prince, largely because his younger brother ended up inheriting all of the family's natural gifts, which is how everyone already views things. Arnold says he might as well do as he pleases. With that, he puts on his mask and introduces himself under his secret alias, Silver, an SS rank adventurer. Calling on his ancient magic, he defeats the massive Minotaur within mere seconds. Silver then heads back to the imperial capital and goes straight to the Adventurers Guild. Everyone inside is utterly stunned when he sets a Minotaur horn down on the counter, proof that he took down the beast entirely alone. The receptionist gladly hands Silver his bounty and tells him how pleased she is that one of the kingdom's 5 SS rank adventurers happens to be stationed at this very branch. Silver simply asks her to give him top priority whenever a tough job comes up. He then leaves some coins on the counter so she and the other adventurers nearby can treat themselves to a drink. Afterward, Arnold removes his mask, opens a magic portal, and returns straight to the royal palace, resuming his everyday role as the so-called Dull-Witted prince. Arnold is then shown meeting with his twin brother, Leonard, where the two discuss how General Dominic came to die so abruptly. Both are fairly convinced someone assassinated him, yet neither has any clue who could be behind it, and they agree that launching a full-scale investigation right now would likely cause more harm than good. Given the precarious position they now find themselves in, Arnold tells Leonard that he needs to actively fight for the throne, or else the two of them risk ending up dead. Leonard hesitates at first, but once Arnold reminds him of all the disaster that could befall them if they fail to act, Leonard eventually agrees to go along with the plan. Arnold tells Leonard that his very first task is to build up his own personal force, so that no enemy will ever be able to threaten them again. Meanwhile, Arnold says he'll concentrate on forging political alliances, though he admits they probably won't carry much weight since most of the powerful noble families are already committed to one of the 3 existing factions. Watching how calm and composed Arnold remains while handling such serious problems leads Leonard to wonder whether Arnold might actually be better suited for the role of king than he is himself. But Arnold insists that he's genuinely not that kind of person. He simply wants to spend the rest of his life in peace and comfort alongside his future beautiful wife. Beyond that, he explains that he truly needs Leonard to become emperor, for reasons of his own. Later, Arnold has a private conversation with Sebas, who asks why he doesn't just reveal to everyone that he's actually one of the 5 SS rank adventurers. Arnold reminds him that the use of ancient magic has long been regarded as a serious taboo among the nobility. Revealing that truth would therefore only stir up unnecessary conflict that he simply doesn't have time to deal with right now. If Arnold were exposed as Silver, people would also discover that he's been secretly practicing ancient magic all along, which would be extremely damaging to Leonard's chances of becoming emperor. Setting that worry aside, Arnold then asks Sebas whether there are any duke families out there who aren't currently vying for the throne. Sebas answers that there's only one such family, the Leonard family. Arnold assumes there must be some reason they've stayed so quiet during a time like this. Sebas explains that it's because their territory has recently come under threat from a dangerous monster, so the family has been far too occupied handling that crisis to concern themselves with politics. Arnold considers the idea of having Silver rescue the Leonard family from that dangerous situation in order to place them in his debt. Sebas, however, doesn't recommend the plan, since it could easily expose the secret connection between Arnold and Silver. Arnold isn't the least bit worried, though, since he knows all he really needs to do is exercise caution. With that decided, he dons his adventurer's outfit and prepares to pay a visit to the Duke of the Leonard family. But before he departs, Sebas warns Arnold about the Duke's daughter and her unmatched beauty, cautioning him not to let himself be dazzled by her looks. Arnold simply tells Sebas to relax, since he isn't the type to get easily swept away by that sort of thing. He then puts on his mask and opens a portal that carries him directly to the Leonard family mansion. However, one of the Duke's sons takes a single look at him and refuses to believe he's the genuine Silver. Silver tries to produce his guild card as proof, but the son tells him not to bother and orders him to leave the premises at once. Music. Silver prepares to depart, but just before he does, he catches a brief glimpse of the Duke's daughter and privately admits to himself that she truly is as beautiful as everyone claims. Arnold returns home, and Sebas is surprised at how quickly he's come back already. Arnold recounts exactly what happened during his visit and says he plans to return to the mansion once more, this time as Prince Arnold rather than as Silver, so the Duke will be compelled to actually listen to him. 5 days later, Arnold arrives at the Leonard mansion and has a private, one-on-one conversation with the Duke. After the usual formal greetings, Arnold gets straight to business and tells the Duke that he's fully aware of the monster problem currently plaguing his territory. Arnold explains that this is precisely why he had Leonard dispatch the legendary SS rank adventurer Silver to handle the situation. And yet, despite all that, Arnold tells the Duke that he still refused to repay that debt by siding with them in the race for the throne. The Duke insists he had absolutely no idea Silver had ever visited his mansion earlier, and he begs Arnold's forgiveness while promising to personally look into the matter. The moment the Duke leaves the room, a smug grin spreads across Arnold's face as he realizes everything has gone exactly according to plan. The fact that someone from this household drove Silver away will only push the Duke even further into their debt. Arnold acknowledges it was a dirty, manipulative move, but admits he doesn't mind tarnishing his own reputation a little if it means giving Leonard's chances a meaningful boost. About 10 minutes later, the Duke returns to the room, this time bringing his son along, and apologizes profusely to Arnold, explaining that it was actually his own son who had chased Silver away. The son tries to argue that he had no way of knowing the real Silver would ever show up at their mansion, but the Duke simply tells him to be quiet and stop making the situation worse than it already is. The Duke then attempts to offer one of his sons to Arnold as a formal apology gift, but Arnold flatly refuses, saying he has no use for him or his worthless son. The only thing that would genuinely count as a worthy apology gift, he says, is something that holds real value to both himself and his brother, Leonard. At that moment, the Duke's daughter, Finn, suddenly steps forward and offers herself as the apology gift instead. She explains that she was present when Silver was driven away, so she considers herself just as much at fault as everyone else involved. Seeing just how far the family is willing to go to make amends, Sebas suggests that Arnold simply let the whole incident go this once. Arnold is initially reluctant to do so, since letting it slide would allow their family's disrespect to go unpunished. However, after Sebas reminds him that harshly punishing them isn't something Leonard would ever normally do, and that acting against that kind of reputation could seriously harm his standing, Arnold changes his mind. Instead, he asks the Duke to send someone out right away to track down Silver, saying he'll speak with him about the matter directly. A couple of hours later, Arnold and Finn somehow find themselves standing face to face with Silver, who makes it clear just how angry he still is about being sent away from the mansion 5 days earlier. Though Silver admits he's still willing to take on the extermination quest, he first asks Arnold whether he's managed to secure a deal that brings the Duke firmly onto their side. Arnold admits he hasn't struck the deal just yet, but assures him it will happen very soon. Hearing this, Silver once again calls Arnold the dull-witted prince, mocking just how incompetent he seems compared to his own younger brother. Arnold reassures Silver once more that everything will certainly get sorted out, and he even goes so far as to bow his head to Silver, which catches Finn completely off guard, since it's practically unheard of for a member of the royal family to bow to someone who isn't even a noble. Seeing how easily Arnold is willing to swallow his pride, Silver finally agrees to take on the monster extermination quest. However, he reminds Finn that they're all relying on the Duke to keep his end of the bargain, since he wouldn't be taking on the quest otherwise. After the meeting ends, Sebas praises Arnold for using illusion magic to create a convincing fake image of Silver, calling the entire plan pure genius. Arnold is simply relieved that everything worked out, since Finn is now completely convinced that what she witnessed was the real thing. Music. Later, on the carriage ride home, Finn thanks Arnold for bowing his head to Silver on her behalf. She admits she originally expected him to be someone full of pride and arrogance, but it seems she was mistaken about him. Arnold tries to brush it off, insisting he only did it for his own benefit. But when he glances over at Finn and sees the bright, cute smile on her face, it suddenly stirs up a distant childhood memory of watching a meteor shower together with his mother. Later that day, Arnold and Sebas are standing together on the mountain, and Sebas asks Arnold whether seeing Finn's smile just now rekindled that same sense of joy he once felt as a child. Arnold simply tells Sebas to drop the subject. After that exchange, Arnold suddenly notices that the desert around them is absolutely swarming with slimes. Sebas explains that another adventurer party was recently sent to handle this exact area, and they've clearly been working hard to deal with the infestation. Arnold can tell right away that there are so many slimes because the mother slime keeps continuously birthing more of them, meaning the swarm will never stop unless someone manages to eliminate the source itself. Arnold immediately transforms into Silver and goes to meet the adventurer party, where he's introduced to their leader, a man named Abel. The party members instantly recognize Silver as one of the famously rare SS rank adventurers. Silver asks whether they've officially been assigned to deal with this particular situation, and one of the party members speaks up, explaining that they simply haven't been able to land a fatal blow on the mother slime, since they clearly lack the firepower needed to finish the job, which is why they've been falling back instead. Silver offers to take on the quest himself, but he can clearly sense that Abel's party is reluctant, since they'd rather handle the matter entirely on their own. Silver warns them, however, that if they insist on going down that road, he'll simply report the matter to the Adventurers Guild and have it registered as an emergency request, which would allow him to take on the quest regardless, meaning there's really no point in them trying to keep him from it. Abel recognizes the logic in Silver's argument and agrees to let him handle the mother slime personally. Silver commends Abel for not letting greed cloud his judgment, then walks off to deal with the slime infestation himself. Silver begins casting his powerful ancient magic and manages to wipe out every single slime, including the mother slime, in one single devastating blow. Abel and the rest of his party are utterly stunned to witness ancient magic used in person for the very first time. But before any of them can even think to question him about it, Silver simply opens a portal and leaves the area entirely. Silver eventually makes his way back home and removes his mask, completely unaware that Finn has been standing there the whole time in shock, meaning his once secret identity is a secret no longer. Arnold turns to Finn and asks what she's even doing there. Finn explains that she made some snacks herself, music, and simply wanted to bring them to him. She also assures Arnold he doesn't need to worry, because she has no intention of telling anyone his secret about being Silver, the famous SS rank adventurer. Arnold points out that she actually just said the secret pretty loudly only moments ago. He notes, however, that it isn't really a problem, since he's already placed a soundproof barrier around the room. Thanks to that barrier, nobody outside can hear a word they're saying, so his secret remains perfectly safe. Arnold is surprised by how casually Finn is treating the whole situation and asks why she isn't even a little worried that he might decide to silence her by force now that she knows his biggest secret. Finn simply smiles and says she isn't worried at all. She explains that she knows Arnold isn't the kind of person who would ever do something like that. The thought never even crossed her mind, because she trusts him completely. As she thinks it over further, Finn realizes exactly why Arnold has gone through so much trouble all this time. He went as far as staging a meeting with a fake image of Silver and even referred to himself as the dull-witted prince, all for the sake of helping Prince Leonard. Realizing this only strengthens her opinion of him, convincing her further that Arnold is a genuinely kind and honorable person who always puts others before himself. Arnold tells Finn that this has never been an issue before, because until now, Sebas was the only person who knew he was actually Silver. Sebas has always been extremely trustworthy and has never let secrets slip, so Arnold has never had to worry about his identity being exposed. Now that Finn knows the truth as well, Arnold seriously tells her not to breathe a word of it to another living soul. Finn agrees without any hesitation and sincerely promises she'll keep his secret no matter what happens. Later that same night, Abel and the rest of his party meet with the Duke to give a full report on the mission they recently completed. After listening carefully, the Duke praises them for the progress they've made and thanks them for all their hard work on the mission. He also apologizes, since he knows the task turned out to be far more difficult and troublesome than anyone originally expected. Once he finishes speaking, the Duke instructs one of his servants to bring over a small pouch of money. He explains that this money isn't part of the bounty they were promised. Rather, it's simply an extra reward to show his gratitude for everything they've done. Abel politely declines to accept the pouch. He tells the Duke that the reward they were originally promised is already generous enough, so he can't accept anything more. He also honestly admits that his party wasn't the one who ultimately solved the real problem, so he doesn't believe they deserve any additional reward. Hearing Abel speak so honestly and humbly, Arnold can't help but quietly smile to himself, admiring how sincere and straightforward Abel and his companions truly are. After Abel and his party leave, the Duke turns to Arnold and sincerely thanks him for everything he's done. Arnold, however, immediately tells the Duke he should be thanking Prince Leonard instead of him, explaining that it was Leonard who wanted the Duke to meet both him and Silver in the first place, so the credit belongs to Leonard, not to him. Hearing that, the Duke formally declares that his household will now support Prince Leonard's bid for the throne. Arnold accepts the Duke's decision, and the two seal the agreement with a firm handshake. As Arnold reflects on it, he realizes this means Leonard has finally established himself as the fourth major force in the battle for the throne, standing alongside his two brothers Music and two sisters. The Duke then points out that despite this progress, Leonard's faction still seems to be lacking in manpower. Arnold agrees and explains that most of the nobles are still choosing to stay neutral while they wait to see how the succession battle unfolds. At the moment, what Leonard needs more than anything is a group of trustworthy nobles who will support him without betraying him later. The Duke asks Arnold if he has any ideas, but before Arnold can answer, the Duke offers a suggestion of his own. He says Arnold should simply take Finn with him. Arnold is completely caught off guard by the proposal and asks why he would suggest such a thing. The Duke explains that Finn has been insisting she wants to repay the debt they owe Arnold. Arnold can tell that Finn genuinely wants to help, and since the Duke fully supports her decision as well, he eventually agrees to let her come along. Not long afterward, Arnold and Finn climb into a carriage and set off on their journey back to the royal capital, while the Duke and Finn's older brother stand outside to say their goodbyes. During the trip back, Finn notices that Arnold has been unusually quiet, Music, and asks if something is bothering him, since he seems a little upset. Arnold admits he's feeling frustrated, explaining that the struggle for the throne has caused countless deaths throughout history, and because of that, he doesn't want Finn dragged into such a dangerous conflict. Finn understands exactly what he means, but tells him she still chose to come because she truly wants to help him. Even knowing the risks, she has no intention of changing her mind. After returning to the royal capital, Arnold heads straight to Leonard's office to report everything that happened during his visit to the Duke's territory. He explains how the meeting went and tells Leonard that the Duke has officially decided to support their faction, largely because of Silver's involvement. Even so, Arnold advises Leonard not to place complete trust in the Duke just yet. While the Duke has joined their side, it's still too early to know whether that loyalty will hold firm. Once his report is finished, Arnold tells Leonard that one of the Duke's children has come along with him. Right on cue, Finn walks into the room and politely introduces herself. Leonard introduces himself in return, and after hearing him speak, Finn smiles warmly. She tells Leonard she's glad to finally meet him in person, since he really is the kind and gentle person Arnold has always described him as. Leonard grows curious after hearing Finn mention that Arnold often talks about him, and wanting to know exactly what was said, he eagerly asks her to tell him everything. Finn happily agrees, and the two spend some time chatting as she shares the things Arnold has said about him. After listening for a while, Leonard turns to Arnold and asks what he plans to do with Finn now that she's arrived at the royal capital. Arnold says he intends to have Finn assist them as a negotiator whenever they need to deal with other nobles, and he also plans to have her stay at the royal mansion for the time being. Simply having a member of the Leonard family living there should be enough to show everyone that Leonard now enjoys the full support of the Leonard household. Once that matter is settled, Arnold asks Leonard whether there are any other nobles who might be willing to become their allies. Leonard says it's hard to say, since nearly all the influential families have already joined one of the three strongest factions. Finn looks puzzled, having no idea who these three rival factions even are. Seeing that, Arnold and Leonard take the time to explain the current political situation to her. They go over the members of the three most powerful noble families in the kingdom and explain how each one is competing for the throne. Arnold explains that these three great families have been steadily expanding their influence in order to strengthen their claims. Each faction has built its support around a different pillar of the kingdom. One is backed mainly by powerful civil officials, another has the backing of the military, while the third has gathered the kingdom's strongest magicians under its banner. Leonard adds that many nobles are now trying to win favor with one of those three factions, since they believe that's the safest path to securing their own future. Leonard goes on to explain that all of this began about 3 years ago, after their older brother Wilhelm was killed in battle. Had Wilhelm survived, there never would have been a struggle over who would inherit the throne. After hearing that, Arnold calmly looks at Leonard and confidently tells him that he will personally make sure Leonard becomes the next king. Just then, Marie knocks on the door and enters with an urgent letter for Leonard. After reading it, Leonard learns that Duke Zerit has officially joined Princess Xandra's faction, while Duke Palman has pledged his support to Prince Gordon. Hearing this news, Arnold and Leonard immediately realize just how far behind they are. Those two dukes control enormous merchant organizations and wield tremendous financial influence. Competing against that level of wealth won't be easy, and they know they can't match those resources with money alone. After mulling it over for a moment, Arnold stands up and says he's going to take a short break, explaining that his back is still aching from the long carriage ride back to the royal capital and that he wants to rest for a while before worrying about anything else. 2 days later, Finn asks Arnold if he would show her around the royal capital. Arnold immediately refuses, since he knows that walking around together would draw far too much attention. Finn quickly assures him that nobody will recognize her, since she plans to wear a pair of glasses as a disguise. Arnold isn't convinced in the slightest and tells her that glasses alone are nowhere near enough to conceal her identity, warning that she'll need to put in much more effort if she wants to avoid being recognized. In response, Finn pulls out a blue hooded jacket and puts it on. Seeing the hood cover most of her appearance, Arnold admits it's actually a much better disguise than he expected. Realizing it should be enough to keep her from drawing attention, he finally relents and agrees to take her on a tour of the royal capital. The two head into town soon after, and Arnold begins showing Finn around the royal capital. As they walk through the busy streets, Finn is surprised by how much Arnold knows about the city. When she calls him by name, Arnold quickly tells her to call him Aaron instead, since using his real name could draw attention. Finn happily agrees, since she likes the nickname. After wandering around for a while, they stop for lunch. Finn takes a bite of her cheese sandwich and says it's one of the most delicious things she's ever eaten. Arnold explains that it's made with goat cheese, which gives it its rich flavor. Afterward, they notice a group of children playing nearby. Watching them stirs up memories of Arnold's own childhood, and he tells Finn he used to sneak out of the palace just to play with other children and enjoy something like a normal life. Finn admits she envies him, since she had very few friends growing up. Arnold tells her that making friends should be easier for her from now on, but that she should only trust people who have truly earned it. Their peaceful moment is interrupted when a child accidentally throws a water balloon that soaks Finn's top. Arnold immediately takes her to a nearby clothing shop so she can change, since she can't decide what to wear. Arnold picks out a dress for her, and when she comes out wearing it, Arnold blushes a little, and even the shop owner remarks that it suits her perfectly. When it's time to pay, Arnold says Sebas will come by later to settle the bill. The shop owner laughs and tells them to enjoy the rest of their date. Both Arnold and Finn quickly deny it's a date, but the shop owner simply smiles knowingly. The two continue exploring the city until sunset. As they prepare to leave, one last street stall catches Finn's attention. While she's distracted, Duke Halsworth's eldest son, Gato, approaches Arnold and mocks him by calling him the dull-witted prince. He even strikes Arnold's injured leg with his cane to humiliate him. Finn immediately rushes over and demands to know why Gato is treating Arnold this way. When she lowers her hood, Gato instantly recognizes who she is. Finn quickly lies, claiming that Arnold is actually Prince Leonard in disguise as his brother, testing how people treat him. Arnold immediately plays along, fixing his hairstyle and perfectly imitating Leonard, since Gato now believes he's offended Prince Leonard himself. Gato quickly leaves with his group. Once they're alone again, Arnold explains that although Finn was trying to help, Gato will likely hold a grudge against her, and he now believes Leonard sometimes disguises himself as Arnold, which could complicate Arnold's secret activities going forward. Even so, Arnold thanks Finn, knowing she acted on his behalf. A few days later, Arnold and Leonard receive an unexpected summons to attend a formal meeting with their father, the king. Since this has never happened before, Arnold is certain that whatever the king is about to announce, it can't be good news. That was the second episode. Subscribe so you don't miss the next part, and check out the next video on